that I say, like, I can just catch up tomorrow. Like,
yeah, I was like, I'm sure we'll see it in the news. So, all
awesome.
right. Awesome. Well, we're going to jump right in. Tell me how you started with It Works and just a little bit about your journey.
Okay, cool. So I started July 1st, 2015. So I've been in just a little bit over a year. I just graduated from college in Charleston, South Carolina, and I moved home. And I graduated with an education degree, and I could not find a teaching job. And I actually left a bunch of jobs I could have taken, and I came home thinking like it would be super easy, and just wasn't working out that way. So it was July at this point, July 1st. And for some reason, I decided to get back on my Facebook, which I had like deactivated for like months. I hadn't been on it at all. And I saw this girl I grew up with. Like, we rode the bus together in elementary school. Like, one of your Facebook friends that like you're not really friends with, you just see their stuff every once in a while. And she was pregnant and talking about how she's staying home with her baby. And I remember being like, well, that's really cool. And something about her caption of her picture said, work as many hours as you want, as much as you want from your phone, whether you have a job or not. And I was like, well, this is something that's flexible. Like, I can probably do that once I find a teaching job, if I do, hopefully. So I joined her. We talked for 5 minutes on the phone, and I signed up. She had only been in for a week. So she had no idea what she was doing. I had no idea what I was doing, and we just kind of ran with it. So we just started following, top leaders and really just doing whatever they said that they did. Because if I ever do anything, I do it, as best as I can. So I wasn't going to join and kind of like sit in the background. So I promoted pretty quickly. My first month I went executive, second Ruby, and then third Emerald. And then I stayed in Emerald for 5 months. And I did a lot of rebuilding. And it's not that I was getting discouraged. I just didn't feel like I had the people to go with me to Diamond yet. And I honestly wasn't thinking I had like a time crunch. Like, I was like, oh, I'll go Diamond, it's going to happen. But I had no sense of urgency about it. I knew I could do it because I had promoted 3 times. So I was like, oh, I got this. Like, I'll figure it out as it comes. But I went to conference beginning of February. And literally being in that room, that was it. Like, talking to people, hearing their stories. Like, I'm a full-time teacher now too, which I forgot to mention earlier, but I ended up getting a full-time teaching job. So like, balancing that I've done since pretty much the beginning. And I just remember sitting in that room and just, it's like an energy. Like, it wasn't even something that someone said to me. It wasn't this aha moment where someone looked at me and said something to me. I know Aaron Tweed has this like aha moment where this girl grabbed her and was like you are going to be successful at this. It wasn't like that at all. I just was around so many people with full-time jobs, with families, with no other job at this, like just different people who believed in this, believed in the products, believed in Mark and the whole company. And I just remember being like overwhelmed with emotion. And I was the only person from my team who went. And so I remember when I first got there, I felt like not discouraged, but like, oh, dang, I really wish that my girls would come here and at least try to see the light or something, even though I hadn't fully seen it yet. But when I left, I was 8 distributors away from Diamond that month. I was an Emerald at the time, and I was actually being paid as a Ruby when I went. And I remember being like, I'm going Diamond. It's happening. Even though for me, I'm not a crazy mass enroller. So enrolling 8 or 9 distributors in a month is not something I do every month. But I kind of told myself, I was like, this is what's happening. I'm gunning for that $20,000 bonus. Like, I'm just going to lead by example and hope things go well. And Taylor, who's on this call, was actually the first distributor I ever signed. And when she saw me go Diamond, she realized how achievable it was, I guess for her too, because we joined 10 days apart. And she took off, and really that's kind of the light or the aha moment I've had in this business. It's like, I can lead with all these tips and these tricks and these trainings, and I can do Zooms that are awesome, but everyone has their own moment at their own time. And I could have told Taylor from day one, which I did, like, you have so much potential and you're great and like you're rocking it, like, keep it up. But Taylor had to have her moment on her own time. And that's one thing that I tell people all the time. It's like, there's something that happens that I really can't describe, but people realize that this is more than a side gig, or they realize that it can be. They realize that this actually can bring them home, and this actually can be something that is not just a side gig, but it's substantial income. And once you have that moment, I think that's when things turn around. So that was in February. And honestly, that's one of the biggest things I praise to my team, and I hope you do too, is just talking about going to events, and not just monthly meetings and things like that, but really going to corporate events and being in a room where every single person has it works in common with you, but is so different from you, and really seeing that all these people can do this. Mm-hmm. And it makes you more confident when you talk to potentials and when you talk to your team members, like meeting all these people that are nothing like you and not on your team at all, and they're all there for the same reason, and events are everything. So that's one of my tips I was going to share later if I didn't now. But yeah.
Oh, you're fine. That is awesome. Why is making a dream board important?
I love that. So my dream boards, actually, I have like I'll try to show you all. Hopefully it doesn't like break up. I have a dream board that I'm currently about to move to this wall. I just put the hanger up, but right now it's like actually being covered, which is an awful example, but it's back there. I made it in January, and I think even if it's a dream board or it's just your goals, and I tell my students this too as a teacher, like it's scientifically proven. If you write things down, or if you print them out, or if you have a visual, it's way more likely to happen than if you just think it. So having a vision board or a dream board and really looking up at those goals, then my favorite thing that I've been able to do is take things off my dream board and put new things on it. So it doesn't have to start off with like a trip to Bora Bora and my dream home. Like it can be something small. Like I had stuff up there that was lash extensions, which now I get like twice a month. I get acrylics back on my nails. Like it doesn't have to be, when people think dream board, they think new house, new car, everything about my life is perfect. Like you can put smaller dreams up there and smaller goals and then replace them with bigger ones as you go. So like one of my favorite things to do is take something off my dream board once it becomes a reality and put something else up there. So I've done that with lash extensions. I've done that with paying off debt. I've done that with my nails. What else did I do? Oh, seeing Rihanna was like a dream for me. Like I was like, I've got to see her. Like I don't care what it costs. Like I'm going. I don't care how far I have to drive. Like I'm going. I'm having great seats. I'm going to get my makeup done. I'm going to have a great time. And like I did that. So, and that makes you feel accomplished. Like I don't know if you all are to-do list people, but it doesn't need to be all these massive, I'm going to pay off all of my debt. I'm going to buy my dream house. I'm going to get, all these huge things done. Like you can have smaller dreams up there, and that'll make you feel a lot more accomplished when you can replace them with bigger ones, So now it's like, get my master's, find my own home, move back to Charleston. Like I have some pretty big dreams up there, but I also have laser hair removal is still a thing up there, which isn't like a dream home, but it's something that I want to do and feel guilt-free about. So I think my biggest advice with vision boards or dream boards is to put it in front of you to where you can see it. So whether it's like some people do things and they save them on their phone, or they put them in their bathroom, or they put it somewhere you're going to see it. Don't put it somewhere and tuck it under your bed, like put it on your wall, put it on your, bathroom mirror.
Let it do its job.
Yeah. Like put it somewhere where you see it and not somewhere where occasionally you're like, oh, that thing. Like I always put it, right now it's next to my mirror, but it'll soon be over here next to my fan, which I turn on every night and I turn off every morning, because every night and every morning I'm going to be seeing that thing. So some people will do, reminders of their dreams. Like on lipstick, I just had on my mirror, like double diamond, and I put it all through my house, like all on my mirrors. Some people will do things in their cars or the backgrounds of your phone. But constantly reminding yourself, giving yourself a visual every day, multiple times a day, of what you're working towards. That way, like right now where I have it, it's like by my bed. And there's been nights when I'm like, I'm about to go to bed and I lay down and I'm turning off my light and I see something up there and I'm like, I'm going to message 10 more people. It just gives you that extra push of this is right in front of me. Like, what am I going to do to get there, to get to that dream or that goal? So definitely putting it in front of you and not just saying words or thinking thoughts, but making a visual, whether it's a dream board, a vision board, whether it's just in lipstick on your mirror, like what you're going to do that week or what you're going to do that month or what you're going to do that year. But if you don't put them out in front of you, they're a lot less likely to happen. And that's not it works. That's life. Like that is kids that I teach in 5th grade. Like we do positive affirmations with them now in 5th grade. And we talk about, I'm going to pass this test. I studied so hard for this. I'm ready. I'm ready to go. I'm prepared. And they do so much better on their tests than they did before just because of their thoughts and vocalizing them and reminding themselves of them. So it's not just an it works thing. That's like a life thing. And I think a lot of people try to separate that. But if you have any goals in your life, like we have deadlines for goals, you should have in your mind a goal line or a deadline for your dreams too. Like they shouldn't just be someday, one day I'm going to do this, but by the end of 2016, this is going to happen. And even if you don't hit it then, you're that much closer to hitting it, if that makes sense.
Exactly. I love it. I love it. I love it. Why is being around like minds inspirational, and how do you use it as motivation for your business?
This is like the favorite question that you sent me, like whenever we first talked about this, but and hopefully we all know this by now, but like you are your company. If you're hanging around the pessimistic Patties and the negative Nancys, like you are going to be that person, whether you want to or not, whether that's you or not, like those thoughts are going to creep in and affect how you act. And something I share with my team is actually at school, we had someone come speak and he was talking about how your thoughts determine your feelings and your feelings determine your actions. So if your thoughts are negative all the time and you're surrounding yourself with people who doubt you or question this or don't understand wanting more out of life, like you're more likely to act like you don't need more out of life either. And even if that's not who you are, like you are your company. So I know better than anyone, like if I'm not staying close to the few team members that I have that have this passionate fire behind their business, I have to go find people outside of my team that do. So before girls on my team caught the vision, I was reaching out to complete and total strangers because I knew that if I was around people who were quitting because they didn't get their Ruby bonus, like that was going to bring me down. And I needed to be around the people who, push through those obstacles and who are optimistic. And everyone knows, like if you're around happy people, it's very difficult for you to be upset. Like if you're around a whole room of people that are just so excited and so happy and so ready to go, like you almost feel awkward being that negative person, like hunched over in the back. You feel like you got to snap out of it and get positive. So whether it's people on your team, sidelines, I mean, I've reached out to complete and total strangers that have become really good friends of mine in this business. So it might not be on your team and it might not be the people below you, but at least surrounding yourself with people, even not in the business, but I was with one of my friends the other night who's a yoga instructor, and she's very mindful and she's very positive. And I know that when I'm around her, like I'm in a better place mentally. And so it doesn't have to be all people who do it works or all people on your team, but being around people who bring you up and not bring you down and believe in you, or at least are respectful of what you're doing, that makes a huge difference in your business. Because if you're on the people that doubt you or tell you it's a scam, those thoughts, whether you want them to or not, like in your subconscious, they're going to creep through. And you're going to think at some point, should I be doing this? Am I good enough? Could I really go diamond? Could I really make that much? Or are they right? Like whether you want to or not, no matter how stubborn you are, those thoughts are going to get to you. So just surrounding yourself with people who bring you up and believe in you and want you to be successful. And then also finding people in the business that have similar goals to you. Talking about we're both going for this promotion, or we both have a goal of 5 customers this month. Like sharing that with them and holding each other accountable is huge, like humongous. So finding the people that aren't, they don't have to be your team members. They could be anyone in the business that want what you want and are willing to work the way you work. And that makes a huge difference because when you talk to them, you can pump each other up and you can bring each other out of those slumps or those moments where you're not doing your best or what you could be doing. So finding people is huge. And if you, like, any of you all need anyone, like, I have people on my team I'd love to, like, help you be accountable with or whatever it may be, but you all are all welcome to reach out to me or really anyone. That's the thing about this business that no other business has. And I know that, like, people really do want to help each other. And that's not something that we fakely say, like, no offense, a lot of times in sorority, it's like, we're sisters, we love you so much. Like, that's real. Like, that's real, but it works. So reach out to people if you need help and find people that are like-minded and, like, hold them close and ask them for advice and ask them for tips and things like that.
I think it was Aaron is the one that gave us all accountability partners.
Yeah.
And that has helped me so much because, you know, my accountability partner did not, like, no team page, nothing like that. But she has taught me so much about my personal business, and it's been crazy. So, and then she's gotten, like, how to do Zooms and stuff for me. So it has just been, like, crazy how much we've learned from each other. And she'll tell me things that she's doing, and I'm like, that's genius. Like, why am I not doing that? It's awesome. So,
I love that.
I love accountability partners.
Me too.
What are 3 things you have incorporated into your journey that you've grown from?
I think the number one thing has been self-development. And that's not just me learning as a networks distributor. I've learned a lot about being just a better person and a better teacher. I've been able to take all these things I've learned and kind of apply them to all the aspects of my life. So one thing I want to say about self-development is if you're not doing it, you need to try it. Like, give it a month, every day for a month. And it doesn't have to be like, some people, when they think self-development, they're like, I've got to read a book, you know, or I've got to listen to sermons, or I've got to be religious, or I've got to do this. Like, there are so many different platforms for self-development that some days my self-development is like literally blaring old school Ja Rule in my car just to get pumped up for the day. Like, it doesn't have to be like this crazy spiritual experience where you're like, oh my God, my life is so different because I read this paragraph. Like, so many people have this twisted idea of what self-development is, and it's just working on you every day. So if you're feeling lazy or unmotivated or whatever, you need to listen to something that pumps you up, or you need to do something that excites you. And for some people that might be to read, some people that might be to write, some people that might be to listen to a sermon, listen to music, some people that might be listen to Ja Rule and like just get out of it. You know what I mean? So it doesn't have to be the same thing every day, but if you incorporate self-development at all into your daily schedule, like, you will be amazed at what happens to you as a person, but also as a business. And I've also found that it's very easy to post when I'm working on myself because I'm always inspired by something. So if I am, you know, I have oodles of books, like a ton of books, which is my main thing because I'm obviously a teacher. I like to read. But sometimes I listen to an old school song that just like gets me, and I take that lyric and I put it in a post and I talk about my morning, or I talk about how we can apply this. Like today, I was on my way to school and I wasn't being pessimistic, but I was like, it's a Monday. My kids are going to be crazy. I'm exhausted. And like, I read something in this book that said, take whatever your thoughts are right now and turn them around. And so my first like major post of the day was taking my thought, and I wrote it out for the world to see, and changing it. Like, my kids are going to be crazy today, which I really wanted to type something different, but I can't obviously. But my kids are going to drive me effing nuts today is what I was thinking. And I translated that to like, my kids are really creative, and like, I'm very blessed to be teaching them. Like, I have an impact of their life, you know, like I am helping them become who they are going to be or want to be. And so taking things and turning them into positive things. And self-development, literally, you guys, it can be anything. Like, some people will sit here and say 30 minutes, 5 minutes. Like, sometimes my self-development is sitting in silence and then writing down 3 things that I'm thankful for. Like, it doesn't have to be I'm going to read 2, chapters of this book and deeply reflect on them and answer questions. Like, it doesn't have to be that serious, but doing something for you mentally or spiritually every day, whether it's meditation or music or writing or venting to a friend, like, you've got to do it daily, because that's like, out of my other tips, that's the one, because The other two have to do with other people. That's the one thing that you have complete and total control over, is working on yourself. And you can do it all sorts of ways. And honestly, I would suggest trying different ways until you find what works for you. Because some days I wake up and I'm like, especially nights like tonight when I have my glasses on and I've been grading, I'm like, no, I don't feel like reading a book. Like, I'd rather listen to Hillsong's album, like Christian music, before I go to sleep. It doesn't have to be the same thing every day. Like, you can cater it to however you're feeling. Whatever you're needing, like, go out there and get it. That's how I do self-development. And then I guess my second tip when it comes to this business is to not be afraid to be vulnerable. And that's not easy for me to say because I'm a very stubborn, very blunt, very hard person. And I know that when I'm vulnerable, that is when people can relate to me, whether it's already people who are on my team or a part of my journey or people who are not. So that means, like, not just posting videos, but, you know, I like to tell people, usually social media is a highlight reel. It's what we want people to see. But, like, I challenge you to show people things that maybe aren't that perfect, because that's relatable. And, you know, I tell people all the time, as much as I love Tiffany and Aaron and Alyssa, I probably would have never joined with them when I started, because to me, that seems like, no offense, like batshit crazy and like crazy to me, and like so happy and rainbows and horses and butterflies and like all these things. Like, it just doesn't seem real. And so I love when they do get real and they do show that side, because then people are more likely to view them as actual people. And so when you're on social media or when you're talking to a potential, like, you need to sympathize and you need to get to a normal level. Like, you don't need to act like this is the easiest thing that you've ever done and it's so fun and it's so easy and there's never any stress and you can do nothing and get to the top. Like, if those people sign up, they're not going to do well anyways. Like, take this business seriously and be vulnerable with people and tell them, like, you have the potential to do anything you want with this business. Like, you can make as much or as little as you want. You know, you're in control of how successful your business is. But you can't sign up and do nothing and expect to be successful. And, you know, letting them know, like, some months, you know, have been harder for me than others. You don't have to be this perfect person that's pitching them a sale, because the people who sign up then are people that you convinced, and the people that you convince to sign up are never going to do what it takes to get to the top. And if you just tell them openly and honestly, like, I tell people all the time, it's very, very simple. It's very simple. What I do is super simple. It's not crazy complicated. Like, it's very hard to mess up, but it's not necessarily easy. It's simple in the fact that you're given what you need to be given to be successful, and you have your training and you have this and that, but don't expect to sign up and sit there and be successful. Like, you've got to work. And I tell my potentials that, and I tell my team that, but just being vulnerable, and that sometimes means tough love to your team, but that also sometimes means, like, sharing that post that you don't feel like sharing because you might be embarrassed, or, you know, your before and afters. Oh, your befores are terrible, but your afters are great. Like, people need to see your stomach, and people need to see you being real, because if they know you're using the product, or if they know your story besides, you know, why you just joined the business, they're a lot more likely to join you, whether it's as a customer or a distributor. So first thing was self-development. Second thing is be vulnerable and really just be honest and be you. It's a Dr. Seuss quote, but literally, like, there is no one out there more youer than you, and people are going to connect with you more than they're going to connect with you pretending to be someone that you're not. So literally, no matter who you are, if you're yourself, like, there is someone out there that's going to connect with you 10 times more than they connect with me, because they're looking for someone like them and you are similar to them. So self-development, be vulnerable. And then my last thing, which you all are going to all laugh, but it's consistency. And I know that everyone's, like, sitting here, like, shaking their heads, like, are you kidding? But I'm honest in the sense that it's very hard, and I'm coming from personal experience when I say this, it's very hard to be consistent and stop being consistent and try to be consistent again. And if you just make it a habit to keep chugging along and every day do what you say you're going to do, those days that seem kind of hard, that's nothing compared to you stopping and trying to restart, or you slowing down and trying to speed up. So I'm not saying be consistent, like, hey, post X amount of time today, or do this, this, and this. Like, I'm not giving you specific examples, but consistently work on your business every day. And if you're doing that, it's a lot easier for you to keep that a habit and keep that going than if you decide to coast because you're comfortable, which a lot of us do. Or you decide, I'm really busy. Like, I'm a full-time teacher, and it's a lot easier sometimes for me to come home after tutoring and eat my dinner and get my pajamas and get in bed and go to bed. Like, that's a lot easier a lot of the days. But when I do that, my business steps back each time I do that. And it's a lot harder to catch up than if you were just be consistent every day. So with being consistent, my number one thing is to set achievable goals. Absolutely shoot for the stars, but don't give yourself a list of things that you're going to do that's going to overwhelm you. Like, if you're a believer in a to-do list, like, make sure that you can do that list every single day so you feel good and you feel accomplished. And if you do more, you feel great. Don't tell yourself, like, I can't tell myself full-time teaching, I'm going to message 100 people today. Because what that's going to do is I might end up messaging 52 and I'm going to bed and I'm hating myself because I'm not reaching the goal that I set for myself. And then that changes my mindset and that changes my mood and that changes all of it. When if I were to just tell myself you're going to message 30 people every day and you're going to post X amount of times a day, those achievable goals that I can feel good about. And then let's say I have a day where I have less to do, I can do more and then I feel great about it. Like, set goals that you can do, but do them every day. So I tell people when they first start, like, oh, I don't know if I can message 30 people a day. And I'm like, pick a number and do it every day your first week. Like, I don't care if the number is 5, but you're going to get used to doing things every single day of the week. And then you can build on that and add on that and adjust depending on how busy you are. But not just consistency, like, hey, do something every day, but do something that's attainable and achievable and something that fits your schedule. Because people who work this full time versus people who have full-time jobs, the schedule looks very different. And as a teacher, I know that because this summer I had off. And so the amount of people I can message a day this summer is a lot different than what I can do now teaching. And if I kept the same goals throughout the year, I'd be miserable. And I actually tried to do that and I felt stupid. Like, I was like, why would I do this to myself? Like, it was very negative. So make sure that you're literally taking your day or your weeks and you're planning out those goals and shooting for those. And if you do more, great. If you don't, that's okay because you got that done. Like, be proud of yourself for reaching your goals no matter how big or small they are, if that makes sense. So
that last one was my favorite because it's so true. There's times where I'm just like, oh, my son's being crazy. I'm just going to put this off. And if I don't send any of my messages, I literally cannot go to sleep. I'm like,
I have like anxiety.
All right, I got to get back up.
I'm thinking right now how I still have to message 13 people before I go to bed. Like, I'm thinking about it. I'm like, I've got to do it.
Yeah. But it becomes a habit, and it's so easy to, like, once you have formed a habit, to just mentally remind yourself, like, this is what I need to do for my business.
Yeah.
I love that. If you could give one piece of advice to new distributors, what would it be?
Run from the start.
Don't slow down.
Run from the start. And one reason I say that is because I did it. And I had no idea what I was even getting in the mail when I signed up, you guys. Like, my distributor joined a week and a half before me. My upline did. I had no idea what I was doing. I had no idea what was coming in my box. I had no idea what a wrap was or what it did. Like, I knew nothing. And so I tell people all the time, like, you can learn as you earn. They don't have to be separate. Like, most jobs, it's like you go through training and you go through all this, prep work before you start, and then you're like good to go. This doesn't work like that. Like, you are constantly going to learn throughout this business. Like, you don't need to learn and then go work. You don't need to learn how all these products work and then go talk about them. Like, one of my biggest tips that I did when I started, and I found this from a Jocelyn Yates video, but I picked 3 products a day my first week. And I only focused on those 3 products. I only posted about those 3 products. I only messaged about those 3 products. Like, those were my 3 products of the day. And so I really knew them well. So if I posted about the Fat Fighters and someone messaged me, I didn't have to go run and figure out what is a fat fighter and what does it do. I already knew that. So I could have those really good conversations that people could tell I knew what I was doing, even though I only knew 3 products. Like, it's not like I knew everything we do and everything we're about. So really just not using the fact that I'm new as an excuse. And I see that a lot with teaching. A lot of teachers are like, oh, sorry, I screwed up. Like, I'm kind of new here. And I'm like, it makes me just like want to beat my head against the wall, because being new is not an excuse for not taking the time to educate yourself. And honestly, like, I learn stuff every day still. So why not just start working and continue to learn as you earn instead of separating the two? Because if we're realistic, like, all of us learn something new in this business every day if we're trying to, or if we're reading what we're supposed to be reading, and doing what we're supposed to be doing. And we all have different conversations we've never had before that we have to learn to respond to pretty frequently. So one of my biggest pet peeves is when people start and they're like, I'm going to wait till I get my product in, or, I'm going to try a wrap before I talk about them. I'm like, that's like a week and a half's time of your business that you're putting a close sign on the door. Like, you can be honest with people and you can say to them, no, I've never tried them, but check out my friend's results and send them a picture. Like, you don't have to know everything and do everything before you start. And then with that, one of my huge tips with new distributors is, in your auto shipment, don't get the same things every single month. My auto shipment, I've tried every product besides Ester Rhythm. And how I did that is because every month I would keep the greens on because I take them daily, but I would try something different. And that way I could talk about those weird questions. Like, people will ask, what does stretch mark cream, smell like? If you haven't used it, you don't know. Like, the questions you can't look up, and when people talk about wraps, it's like, oh, it's a tingly sensation. Like, I tell people all the time, for me, it tastes, not tastes, obviously, it feels like icy hot. And Taylor will talk about how exfoliating peel tastes like a margarita. Like, there's things that you can't say honestly unless you've tried them. Like, you can learn a lot from product coaching. You can learn a lot from your upline and people who've used the products and other testimonies, but until you've used them and you've had a personal experience with them, it's very difficult to share them with people. So trying new products and just running from the start. And honestly, the first wrap I did, I was like, well, I hope this works. So I just joined this business. But like, taking pictures and sharing your results and just from the start, just being a believer before you even know if you're a believer. And this is something I don't even think I've shared this with my team, but sometimes I compare it to God. Like, we've grown up, a lot of us, that God exists and God is, part of our life. But sometimes we don't have that moment where we know we believe in him until much later in our lives. But we still practice that we believe in him, and we still talk and act like we believe in him, even though we haven't had that moment of, oh my gosh, he's real and this exists. So the same thing with the business, like, you've got to it's like any belief in anything you can't see. You've got to believe in it until it becomes real to you. And the only way it becomes real is if you really go out there and try. And you try the products and you do what you're supposed to do and you give it, 110%. So run from the start, try the products, be a product of the product. And another thing that I would tell new distributors is, no question's a stupid question. I tell my students that all the time. I'd rather you blow my phone up than not say a word to me. I would rather you annoy the shit out of me with your millions of questions so that I can help you understand than you just act like you know it all and feel like you're alone in this. Like, reach out to your people.
Exactly.
And don't be afraid to do so.
I love that. Do any of you guys have any questions for Ashely?
We have like 3 minutes, if y'all do.
Anybody? No? Yes? Go ahead, Kelly.
Yeah. When you're contacting potentials and they say, oh, I don't have time, I'm too busy, what's your response that you say to that?
I'll read it to you. I have a couple responses that I save as text replacements in my phone. I don't know if you all have ever done that.
I've heard of that.
Taylor and I both do it. So you go to general in your phone, and then you go to keyboard, and then there's a section called text replacements. Like, Oh no, this is like super bright. I don't know if you all can see these. Hold on. Let me turn my brightness down, then maybe you can. But I am, some responses I do have somewhat of a script for, and this is one of them because that's something I think we get a lot.
I get that all the time.
Well, the one thing that I can say honestly to people is I can tell them like, hey, me too. I'm a full-time teacher. I tutor after school. I'm pretty social. Like I literally have a ton of them, like a ton. I don't know if you all can see this at all. Like, super bright.
That probably takes a lot of time, though, doesn't it?
Yeah, especially when I'm at school and I have 5 minutes to respond to someone if it's one of these types of questions. But for busy, let's see. And Jesse, I can just message this to you on Facebook if you all want to try this message out. But I just type in BSY and it'll automatically come up, and I just hit a space. But my response, I just sent it to you, is I know exactly what you mean, but I also know the busiest people are the best at this business. I'm a full-time teacher and tutor 15 hours a week as well. And then I said, we know how to manage time and are in contact with so many people. I love to chat more about it and would hate if you let being busy stand in your way of changing your life. What are your thoughts?
That's awesome.
And you can obviously adjust that to whatever your lifestyle is or whatever you're doing, but just letting people know, like, being busy
isn't an excuse.
Like, we're all busy, and you can do this as much or as little as you want.
I love that.
But yeah, I just sent it to you so you can.
Yeah, I'll post it.
That's one of mine. And honestly, a lot of times where people are like, wow, you teach too, even though I've already told them somewhere in the conversation, like, I'm a full-time teacher. When I say it again and I mention that I tutor and all that, they really are like, oh, wait, you do all that and you do this? Like, this is your full-time job? Because sometimes on social media, it looks like it's our full-time job because we talk about it all the time. But
that's awesome. Yeah. I love it. Does anybody else have any questions? We're about to get cut off. No.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for doing this Zoom with us. I really appreciate it. You're awesome.
You are too. I'll have to do more again. I'll have to interview you soon for my team.
Definitely. I would love to.
Awesome.
Well, thank you. I will send you the recording of this if you want to share it with your team.
Yeah, great. Thanks.
Thank you.